Hello and welcome to Not for Thought, Season 2, Episode 5. Today we're going to be talking about some of my recent concert experiences on Psychedelics, and also I'm going to talk about some of my plans for Shambhala. So yeah, let's get into it. So about a week and a half ago, it was my birthday, and I decided months and months ago that I was going to go to a Red Rocks concert, because last year I went on my birthday to Cyclops Rocks and it was fucking insane. It was so crazy. It's like the reason why I'm into dubstep and like EDM as a whole. It's one of the main reasons why I'm into EDM, but absolutely the reason why I love dubstep. Sorry to anybody that's not into dubstep, because that's pretty much what this whole podcast is going to be about. But hear me out, even if you're not into dubstep. If you're listening to this podcast, you're more than likely into psychedelics or somewhat of a psychonaut, and that's what got me into EDM, was psychedelics, the visuals at stages during live concerts. There was a lot, but that was one of the main leading reasons that got me to go to Shambhala and also Cyclops Rocks, and eventually started to get into all this music. Just to like simplify it real quick for some people, because I know that like 2 years ago, if I would have listened to dubstep or EDM at all, I would not have been into it. It was the visuals at the stages and the fact that I was doing a lot of psychedelics, and I wanted something just crazy in person to be looking at. And so I wanted to go to a festival, which ended up being Shambhala, and so on and so forth. I ended up getting into EDM as a whole. December of last year, I was like, I'm gonna go to a Red Rocks show for my birthday. So Liquid Stranger announces that he's gonna be playing at Red Rocks, Wakan Rocks 2. So I immediately cop some tickets for me and a friend. Now, for anybody curious, Red Rocks tickets are fucking expensive. For some reason, like not all of them, EDM artists tend to be a little bit cheaper than like big name rap artists and big rock bands and stuff. But still, I don't think that there's a ticket below $60 unless it's somebody that's really, really not well known at all. But anyways, they always have like the standard ticket fee, and then they'll have a service fee on top of that. So it always ends up being an extra $20 on top of whatever the ticket price is, man. So there's so many concerts that you'll be like, oh, it's only $45, and then the service fees hit you, and it's like almost 70. I don't know. Anyways, it's just something to keep in mind. I would go to Red Rocks all the time, and I think a lot of other people would as well, if it wasn't so unnecessarily expensive at times compared to other places in Denver. You know, Red Rocks is obviously one of the coolest places to see live music, in my opinion. It's a great venue. It just transports you to this other world, and the music quality is always really good because of the amphitheater, the natural amphitheater from the rocks, and the fact that they have a pretty good sound system. So I decided that I was going to get me and my friend some tickets. Well, 2 tickets. Me and him a ticket. So I think it was like 150, because I think there were 75 a piece. And I remember I wanted to go to Flatbush Zombies as well, and those tickets were like 130 a piece. And I spent almost that much on 2. But even still, like, I don't know, Red Rocks gets really, really expensive, man. So do all concerts, but Red Rocks just is unnecessarily expensive. I know that place makes a lot of fucking money. They don't need to be charging $70 to $100 a ticket. It's just unnecessary, especially when, like, the Mission Ballroom, which is also in Denver, charges, like, pretty fair prices for their concerts compared to Red Rocks. And that's a really, really good venue with really good visuals and a good sound system. Anyways, enough of my ranting. So we start to get closer to the concert, and my friend ends up bailing on me. So I gotta sell his fucking ticket. I sell his ticket. I end up getting the money back, thank God. And yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Boogie T, another EDM artist, if you don't know who he is. He was playing at Red Rocks, the opening concert of the year, man. Because Red Rocks is an outdoor venue, so they only play from like March to like early November, I think. And then it's closed the rest of the time during winter. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Boogie T. And I showed up kind of late, but anyways, I was like sitting in my car drinking and getting lit, smoking whatever. And I believe, this was before Liquid Stranger. This was like 2 weeks before Liquid Stranger, over a month now. And so I'm a little iffy on the details, but I believe I took just a little bit of acid. Like, I've gotten to the point, I'm going to make a podcast about this soon, but I've gotten to the point where I don't really like doing a full tab of acid, or even a half a tab of acid. I like to microdose or do like up to a third of a tab if I'm like really trying to go hard. That's where I've become very comfortable with acid, because I've noticed that when I do a full tab or even a half a tab, it just like zonks me out, dude. Like, I'll be sitting on my couch and I'll just be like, I don't know, like mindless watching visuals. And I don't know, it's not fun for me anymore. Like, that was fun when I was in high school and stuff, watching those crazy visuals, but the body high that it gives me is just so fucking boring. But when I microdose, it gives me this like uplifting, excited energy where I just want to like socialize and laugh at shit. And it's like exactly what you would expect for the stereotype of drugs, you know? Where it's like, oh, somebody does drugs and they just like laugh at everything and they're all happy and energetic. That's pretty much what acid does for me when I microdose it. So I've been sticking to microdosing it a lot. But anyways, so I think I took like maybe a quarter of a tab of acid, and I brought some mushrooms with me and some weed and some ketamine. So long story short, nothing all that exciting really happened this night. Boogie T was dope, but the openers were like kind of underwhelming in my opinion, and so it just wasn't all that crazy of a concert for EDM and for being at Red Rocks. It was just, it didn't do what other concerts have done for me, you know, like what Cyclops Rocks did to me, that like completely changed my perspective of music, man. And this Boogie T concert was like boring compared to it. Fuck, I sound like I'm talking shit, because I'm sure that there were plenty of people out there that had a fucking great time. But my experience and my perspective was very underwhelming because of the audience, I should say. Red Rocks for EDM has a really, really crazy audience that goes hard to the fucking music, like front to back of the audience is just headbanging and losing it and just so intense and crazy. And I didn't feel that at Boogie T. It was very underwhelming. So anyways, I did a lot of drugs though, but it was just underwhelming. Anyways, so let's get to the good shit. So let's get to Liquid Stranger. So 2 weeks later, Liquid Stranger is playing at Wakan Rocks too. So, man, like I said, I've been looking forward to this concert for probably close to 4 months. So I was fucking excited. And Liquid Stranger I haven't seen yet live. I have my next Shambhala podcast coming out for the like 2 people that are interested. Little spoiler alert though. I went to see him on, I think it was Saturday, and it was so fucking crazy that I had to leave. I mean, I'm talking like herds of people falling over each other, like mountains of people falling around. It was crazy. I had to get the fuck out of there because I thought I was gonna get hurt. Yeah, that wasn't fun. It sucked. I wanted to be at that set so bad, and I just happened to be in this one spot where it was just so chaotic and people like genuinely falling over each other and crashing into each other. Like, it was too much. I honestly thought I was gonna like break an arm, or somebody was gonna fall on top of me and I was gonna get like suffocated under people. it was really, really crazy because the pagoda, side note, I'll talk about this quick, but the pagodas, it's a really dope stage, but there's areas that just aren't very bright. And from my experience, there were just like areas on the sides of the stage compared to like the Fractal and the Village. If you've ever been to Shambhala, you gotta know what I'm talking about, or at least in the past couple of years, because I know they do a lot of stage changes. The pagoda has areas that are very, very dark, and it felt really dangerous because I was just like seeing people out of the corner of my eye like falling over each other, and like herds and groups of people like collapsing and getting rammed into each other and shit. So anyways, I only got to see like 10 minutes of Liquid Stranger maybe, and I was really, really pissed. I was really upset about that. To this day, even after seeing him at Wakan Rocks 2, which was absolutely made up for it, I still wish I would have seen him at the pagoda. Because it's fucking Shambhala, man, and Liquid Stranger is so fucking good. Holy shit. So anyways, I felt gypped on the Shambhala experience, and I was really wanting to see him, so I was really looking forward to this concert, right? I was a bit upset that my friend bailed on me, but I was still wanting to go, and I was a bit upset that Boogie T wasn't exciting as I thought it was going to be. It just didn't like blow my mind like Cyclops Rocks did, Subtronics. So the day of, it was just like any normal day, man. Nothing special. But I was wanting to go to Red Rocks I was wanting to get there around 3 or 4. Doors were opening at 6, and music was also starting at 6. But I wanted to get there at 3 because there was this big old fucking tailgate with a bunch of legit DJs out in the parking lot. Like a parking lot tailgate with professional DJs. And I wanted to go. Like I found out about it through social media, and I wanted to go, but it got canceled because so many people were interested in going that Red Rocks contacted these people that were putting on this tailgate and told them that it was a safety hazard because so many people were wanting to go. I thought that was fucking crazy, man. They were contacted by Red Rocks that they weren't allowed to throw a little party because too many people were interested. That's so cool. I bailed on that, and I was like, well, I still want to go at a decent time. So I think I got there. I think I left at 4, got there at 4:45-ish, and I was just hanging in my car, not really doing anything. I was feeling incredibly antisocial this night. I was feeling way more social at Boogie T. I literally met somebody at Boogie T. I got this bro's Instagram. We're Instagram friends. And because I was just feeling like talking to people. But I don't know, there was a lot of people at Boogie T that weren't very friendly, and I think that's what kind of pushed me into feeling a little socially anxious about talking to people really at all at Liquid Stranger. There were tons of times where I wanted to talk to people and I just fucking couldn't do it. Yeah, so that sucked. But I'm chilling in my car, and I didn't really care at this, but at this point I was just getting lit, hanging out, enjoying the nice weather, because it's still pretty early in the springtime for Denver. But anyway, so I'm like, I didn't bring any weed. Well, I brought one joint that I had rolled for Boogie T. I wanted to smoke, but I didn't want to just smoke one joint, so I started taking little bits out of the fucking joint. I just opened up the end of it and just started pouring out little bits into my pipe. And before I went in to Liquid Stranger, it was turned into like a pinky nub. Just that last joint knuckle of your pinky. That's how much was left in this fucking joint. It was not smokable at all. And I was planning on taking in my pipe, and then I was like, maybe I could just smoke it. Maybe I could just take a couple hits out of this tiny little fucking 2-centimeter joint. But anyways, I'll explain that in a minute, because that did not happen. So I'm chilling in my car. still for a little while. And I think I had some alcohol with me. I got some shooters, but they were like really weak shooters. They were like 25, 30% shooters. To me, that's weak. I try not to drink much, but still, like 50% alcohol is like, that's like high. That's fucking max. So 40% is like if I'm trying to get lit. 50 is if I'm just being a fucking idiot. And 30 is if I'm like kind of taking it easy, I guess. I mean, if I'm taking it easy, I'm drinking a beer. But anyway, I took like a couple shots when I first got there, and I just like wasn't feeling them at all, man. So I started smoking. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to take my acid. So at 5, I think. So 15 minutes after I was there, I decided to take a little bit of acid, so I cut off about a third of a tab. Oh, and they're gel tabs. They're so strong, dude. I bought a sheet of gel tabs a couple months ago. Oh man, best decision I've ever made. I've just been chipping away at it, taking little microdoses and bumping it up a little bit every once in a while. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I started with. I took a little bit of acid. And I was just chilling in my car listening to music, and like I wasn't really doing much, just watching all the ravers walking by in all their outfits and stuff. I saw this guy at one point. He had a backpack on or something. I don't remember, but he was walking up to every single person that was like out by their cars and stuff. He was walking up to every single person. I was just thinking like, this guy's a drug dealer, bro. He was walking up to everybody, and you could see a bunch of people being like, nope. Like, you could see them shaking their heads or be like, no, I'm good. You know, like, you could just easily tell what was going on. But before I got there, I was wanting a DMT cart. I really wanted a DMT cart. I was thinking about getting some of that coke, and I was also wanting to stock up again on mushrooms. This dude's walking by at one point. I can see the parking lot slowly clearing out more and more. As it gets closer to 6, I just notice the parking lot's almost empty, obviously, because that's when the concert was starting. It depends on what line you get in, but I would recommend getting into the line at least at 5:30 if you're there early. If you're there at 5, or even if you're there at 5:30, just get into the fucking line unless you're really trying to hang in your car for a minute and get lit or whatever. So it's starting to get like quiet in this parking lot, and I'm like, oh man, I need to go. But I see this guy walk up, and he's holding like a case. I don't really know how to explain it. It was this like zipper case, and he walks up to my car, man. My door's open because I'm smoking weed. And I think that's why the first guy didn't approach me, because my car door wasn't open. But this time my car door was open. So this guy was like, oh, cool, this guy's trying to mingle. So he walks up to my car, and he's walking past my door, like from the front of my car. I'm sitting in my passenger seat. I don't know why I'm going into such detail. Anyways, he's walking up to my door, and he says something like, hey man, you interested in magical mushrooms? Something like that. And I was like, that's a weird way of saying it, but I was like, you clearly don't know me, but if you did, you wouldn't even have to ask. So I'm like, yeah, what you got? And he opens up the thing, whips it up, and on the top, because it's like this square container, basically, but it's pretty big, and he like unzips it and flips the top up, and the inside of the top has this menu, basically, dude. It's straight up got like dollars in strains and weights and stuff. Like it's all handwritten, but it's pretty like professional, dude. Surprisingly, it definitely took some time to put this all together, you know what I mean? I look down at the mushrooms though, and I immediately think this dude's scamming. Because if you would have seen what I seen, you probably would have thought the same thing. But the first mushroom I saw was the like toad mushroom from Mario, man. I'm talking red mushroom with white dots all over it. And I don't know what that is, but I don't think those are psychedelic. Like, I don't think those have psilocybin in them. And I looked around at a bunch of other ones, and some of them straight up looked like teriyaki mushrooms. So I'm like, fuck, bro. But then I look down and I see these ones that look like psychedelic mushrooms, look like the most basic, like penis envy mushrooms, you know? And I see that there's some blue bruising on them. So here's a tip for anybody that's wanting to know. If you're ever buying mushrooms from anybody, period, look for blue bruising, because that means that the mushroom has psilocybin in it. Mushrooms will not bruise blue if they don't have psilocybin in them. So look for blue bruising. It's important if you're buying mushrooms in a situation like this. Because I swear if I would have bought one of those other strains, I wouldn't have tripped. Well, I don't know. I should have looked into them more or something, because I should have asked him more about those ones. Or, I don't know. I didn't want to call him out because I didn't want to scare him off. You know, being like, hey, you're scamming, bro. And him be like, what? Fuck. Yeah, you know I'm not. Later. I don't know. I just didn't want to spook him, so. Because I did see those ones that I thought looked like psychedelic mushrooms. Because of the blue bruising, they looked like penis envy that was dried. So I asked him how much those were, and he was like, it's $40 for an eighth, which for Denver, Colorado, I don't know, that's pretty standard, I guess. I would say, I don't know, usually I pay like 30, but whatever. He's like, you want the strong ones or the normal ones? And I'm like, bro, if you knew me, you wouldn't even have to ask. I'm like, give me the strong ones, man. So he hands them to me, and he's like, you know how much to take? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm good, dude. I, like, get his number, because he's like, yeah, man, if you need any more shrooms, take my number down. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't really need it, but I didn't say that. But, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. So he walks away and starts trying to sell to everybody else that's still lingering around in the parking lot. And, man, this might be a long podcast. Fuck. So I go and take a piss, and I come back to my car, and this other dude, he's like, we got everything we need tonight. And I'm like, what you got, bro? And he just starts listing all the typicals, dude, like Molly, cocaine, acid. And I'm like, bro, I want mushrooms or a DMT cart. And then he's like, Dems cart? And I'm like, a what cart? He's like, a Dems cart. And I'm like, a what cart? He goes, a DMT cart. I'm like, oh, how much? And he's like, $80. And I'm like, fuck, I just spent fucking 40 on mushrooms. If I wouldn't have done that, I would have been able to get the cart, dude. Because I had 40 in my wallet, and I spent 40 on those fucking mushrooms, which I am actually glad that I bought. But the DMT cart would have been fucking dope. Oh, anyway. Sorry. Did not mean to do that right in the mic. But I think it was a good thing that I didn't buy from this guy, because his nose, not that at this point, after going to Shambhala and after liquid straight, just in general, I'm not judgy about this kind of thing, but it comes off pretty unprofessional when you're trying to deal somebody drugs and you have cocaine covering your nostrils. And you're just like talking kind of weird and sketchy, you know, like it's very untrustworthy, especially when you're dealing in Denver, Colorado, where there's lots of fentanyl, and you're dealing hard, well, yeah, I mean, you're dealing hard drugs, and there's a chance, like, I don't know, it just comes off sketchy when you act all weird like that and you have shit all over your nose. Because he had somebody with him, like, kind of standing near him, probably just, I don't know what he was doing there, either a friend or like watching his security, I don't fucking know. But his friend could have easily told him like, yo bro, wipe off your nose. It just looks unprofessional to me. If you're trying to deal drugs and you're dealing hard drugs, you probably shouldn't look like you're sketchy as fuck, you know? So I think it was a good thing that I didn't buy from this guy, because I mean, who knows if like a vape cart would, dude, who knows? I wouldn't want to, you don't want to risk it. If it is fentanyl, you can take one hit off of that shit and it'll kill you. This is factual information. Do the fucking research. It's like, okay, I don't know the exact number, but it's something times stronger than heroin. And I do know that for a fact, if you take one hit off of it and you don't know that you're taking a hit of heroin, or fucking fentanyl, Jesus Christ. If you don't know, if you take a hit of fentanyl and you don't know it, it can kill you. There's a high chance that it can kill you. Overdose is huge with fentanyl. So it's probably just a good idea to not buy from sketchy dealers in the first place. Because the guy selling mushrooms, I feel like he wasn't sketchy. It was just the fact that I feel like he was scamming a bit. I feel like he was selling some non-psychedelic mushrooms up in that box. But this other dude was like just not, I don't know, just unprofessional. I'll just leave it at that. So eventually I decide to get into the line, and I decide to go the long way, dude. If you've ever been to Red Rocks, there's a couple of different entrances, and there's a couple different parking lots. I parked in a parking lot that I've never been in, or at least haven't recognized it. And you can walk down this road, the parking lot that I was in, you can walk down this road for a little bit, and then there's this bigger entrance that you can go in. And there's usually, of course, a line there and stuff. But I decided to not do that and instead go a little bit further up from that turn into that entrance. You go a little bit further up and you go to the right, and there's this fucking massive staircase. If you've ever been to Red Rocks and you haven't gone up this staircase, you should, because it's, I don't know, it's just an experience. You should go early as fuck if you want to get there early. Or how about I'll put it this way. If you're trying to make it to a set, get into that line, get into this specific line at least an hour early, because it'll take a fucking hour. Well, up to an hour, if it's really slow. So you go up this massive fucking flight of stairs, and then you'll see a big line. Go to the back of it. There's another line further up. If you're trying to go a speedy way, get into that line. Don't get into the line that's right at the top of the stairs. That one's always the longest, but you get really good views. And it's honestly, I'm so back and forth on that line because it's long and it's boring. Well, kind of. I mean, if it's an EDM concert, you get to see a bunch of the costumes and maybe meet some people and stuff. And you do get really good views of this area because the Red Rocks concert venue itself is just in this like very hilly, red rocky area. I don't know how to explain it. It's very like naturey and hippy dippy. It's a good environment for a rave concert. And this line kind of gives you a really good view of different stuff. And that's what I did for my first concert to Red Rocks. I went to see Flatbush Zombies in 2019. In the line that we got into, we went up those stairs. We probably got into the same parking lot, actually. But I don't remember because it was so long ago. I remember us going up those fucking stairs and getting into that line, in that horribly long line. If you're trying to go the quick way, park in the north parking lot. If you can, get there really early, park in the north parking lot, and do the upper line. Best way to go. So I get into this extra long line. I'm in there, and I can feel, just from standing in the line and like looking around at all the people that are coming in with me, that like, this is going to be a good concert, dude. I don't know. Everybody's just dressed a bit crazier than Boogie T. Everybody's being like really friendly, and I don't know. Anyways, so I'm in this line for an hour, and I missed pretty much a whole set, 50 minutes out of an hour of a set that I wanted to see. But I eventually get in, and it is a fucking madhouse. I think I said the same thing about Cyclops Rocks, but it is straight up crazy, dude. I mean, people just throwing the fuck down. It was G-Rex and Soli back to back, and they were just like, they were killing the audience, man. They were fucking bumping the speakers. It was awesome. It was a really good set. even though I only saw the last 10 minutes of it because I'm walking up the stairs. And a really great part about Red Rocks is that it's a stadium, right? It's an auditorium stadium thing. And so everybody's on these like 3-foot steps, rose steps. So when you're walking up, you get this amazing view of everybody because you can see each row of people very clearly. It's not just like a flat ground where it's just like a bunch of people. It still is a bunch of people all packed together, but you can see them all very clearly because they're on these steps. And it's fucking crazy, man. Just as soon as I walked in, people are just like losing, and right away I'm blown the fuck away. And I'm like, yes, this is gonna be a good concert. I was just like, this is such a different experience for me compared to Boogie T a couple weeks before that. When I walked in, there was like nobody dancing. It was straight up everybody was sitting around on their phones and stuff. It was just really weird. But walking into Liquid Stranger, that opener was just wild, and everybody was just like going hard as fuck right away. It was really, really cool. So I go to the concessions and I get a water and a beer, which I shouldn't have gotten that fucking beer. Well, I got a White Claw, but a tall. I think it was probably around $20. It was fucking stupid. So I start trying to find a spot, and it's so packed and it's so crazy that I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just going to go all the way to the back, which I hate doing for Red Rocks. It's not the biggest deal at Red Rocks, other than like the sound isn't quite as loud if you're all the way in the back. And the visuals aren't quite as big, but it's honestly not that bad. Audience-wise, people go really crazy front to back at good EDM shows at Red Rocks. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just go to the back. I go all the way to the last row, and I post up and find a spot. And Liquid Strangers, so it's a Trinity set. He's playing... For anybody that doesn't know, Liquid Stranger, the headliner is basically playing 3 individual sets throughout the night, which is really, really crazy for Red Rocks. And really any concert. Usually it's like an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours for the headliner. But 3 hours is fucking crazy. He's playing his first set, which was like pretty laid back. It was good. It was better than I expected, but I knew it was going to be laid back as fuck. Really mellow, compared to his later sets. But then Easy Bake comes on, and they just threw the fuck down. They were so much fun. If you're into EDM, man, give them a listen. Or at least if you have the chance to see them live, they're pretty dope. It was a lot of fun. They played lots of like different styles of music and stuff. It was sick. But at this point, I'm like... I guess while I was still in my car, I should have mentioned this a while ago before I got into the line and stuff. I decided that I was going to take a little bit of mushrooms, so I just took like a little bit, man, not much. And I remember stuffing this little drug baggie with a couple more mushrooms. And I also brought ketamine with me and a little bit more acid. So I think while Liquid Stranger's first set, the headliner's first set was playing, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to take a little bit more acid. So I took a little bit more acid. So I was on like 1/3 to 1/2 of a tab of acid, a little bit of mushrooms, and I was doing a little bit of ketamine. So during Easy Baked, I start going hard on the ketamine, dude. And I think during that set as well, I also took some more mushrooms. At some point I took more mushrooms. I don't fucking remember. And so I'm fucking tripping hard, dude. And I just keep like taking bump after bump. And at one point I decide, I think it was before Easy Baked. I was like, no, it must have been after Easy Baked. I don't know. But I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to the bathroom. But I don't want to lose my spot. I'm like all in my head. I'm like, I have this spot posted up here. I don't want to lose it. I'm really vibing with this area, with this crowd right here. Even though I'm all the way in the back, I just really didn't want to lose my spot. So I sprinted to the fucking bathroom. Not really, but I was like speed walking, you know. And as I'm walking, I pick at my nose because I'm not picking my boogers, but I like scrape at the opening of my nostril a little bit because I'm like, do I have any powder on my nose? And I like scoop off a bunch. I decide, okay, I better clean that out when I get to the fucking bathroom because there's a shit ton up in there. So I get to the bathroom and I start scraping it out with toilet paper and shit. And I pull out my phone and there's still just like globs of ketamine all over my nose, dude. Like, I don't know how much I fucking did, but it was a lot. And what's crazy is that I bought ketamine like months and months ago, 2 grams of it, which I didn't realize was a lot. And for these concerts, I've taken like multiple scoops of it. And after Boogie T, there was like barely any of it gone. And after Liquid Stranger, there was a bit more gone, obviously, but still not what I would have expected for how much was all over my fucking nose. So I eventually get all of the fucking ketamine off of my nose, and I'm walking back to my spot, and this is where it gets fucking crazy, dude. I'm walking, and all of a sudden I feel like this movement underneath my feet, and I straight up felt like I was walking on water, or even better, it felt like I was walking on top of a current. It felt like there was this movement, this like flowing of water underneath my feet as I was walking. And it didn't feel like I was disrupting it. It felt like I was just like walking with it. I don't know, dude, it was so crazy. It felt like I was walking on water. It was so weird. And then I started to kind of get a little dizzy, and I was like, oh shit, I better get back to my spot. So I start hurrying back to my spot. I sit down, and it kind of just, the dizziness just pretty much went away. But I keep taking bumps of ketamine throughout the night. And Liquid Stranger, the headliner, was absolutely amazing. I've never seen visuals like that, like psychedelic visuals like that, probably ever. I don't know, Instagram has some pretty trippy stuff. And probably a bunch of other social media too. That being said, for a live show, it was just such complex psychedelic visuals with incredible music on top of it. It was an absolutely mind-blowing, epic concert that I will forever remember. And that's why I love EDM. For anybody out there that's not into EDM, give it a fucking chance. Give it a chance live with psychedelics. It's not that it's required at all, but it's what kind of like changed my perspective. Everybody's experience is different. You know, you might just love the music and then get into doing the drugs and stuff, or you just might like the music and the visuals and that's it, and you aren't into the drugs. I don't fucking know, but I really, really recommend getting into EDM if you like psychedelics, because it's an incredible combination, in my opinion. But that being said, I really balanced myself well that night. At Shambhala, which I need to upload part 2, I had a night where I did way too much right away, even though I've actively talked about on this podcast not to overdo it. But to be fair, I've talked about not to overdo it not to overdo it all right at once. You shouldn't take a bunch of drugs right at the beginning of the night. Take all of your drugs right at the beginning of the night, because it'll be way too much. And that's pretty much what I did on one of the nights at Shambhala, and it fucked me up. But this night at Liquid Stranger, I did a really good job of not going too hard too quickly and waiting to see how I was feeling on certain drugs before taking more. And the only regret that I had was that I took the last bit of mushrooms and acid a little bit too late. I should have done them a little bit earlier, because I got home at, I don't know, 1 o'clock, we'll say, a little bit before that. Probably like 12:30. And of course I just like smoked weed and stuff, but I was still tripping really, really hard up until like 5 or 6 in the fucking morning. And I think a part of that was the mix of, you know, acid and mushrooms. But man, that's a good combination, in my opinion. That's my favorite. Weed, acid, mushrooms, and ketamine. But the base is like acid and mushrooms, and then additionally adding ketamine and weed is such a good balance. Because, all right, to get into detail about it, the acid provides visuals and enhances that like fuck, Jesus Christ, I'm stumbling over my words. It increases the hallucinations that you experience. And for me, the mushrooms add in that like nice body high. The ketamine knocks everything up a notch, and the weed mellows me out while also kind of making things more intense. So it's just a really good combination of drugs for me. And it makes it to where I'm not doing anything too much all at once, and slowly doing things over the night. And I can go hard on things like weed and ketamine at times if I really want to crank things up a notch and make things crazy. But yeah, so that was my experience. And yeah, dude, it was so much fucking fun, especially that feeling of walking on water. But I got home and I was still tripping so hard, and I was seeing those visuals that the headliner was playing. I came home and I could close my eyes and still see the visuals that were playing at Red Rocks. That's how hard I was tripping, dude. It was fucking dope. It was a lot of fun. This is almost an hour long. It's getting up there. After editing it, I'm guessing it'll probably be like 45 minutes, so I guess I won't talk about Shambhala today. But yeah, dude, I'm sure I forgot about some stuff that I wanted to talk about with this night, but it was truly fucking insane, man. Cyclops Rocks last year was really crazy too, but I didn't do as many drugs. And I don't know, man. It was insane though. It was a lot of fucking fun. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good night. Well, it's nighttime for me. Have a good day or night, whatever it is for you. All right, later.